praise to people falling in love with you to also death threats and rape threats and the whole gamut. So, oh, that's probably scaring you. Ugh. Okay, rewind. These people are amazing. And I just want to say that the courage it takes to be vulnerable and share your stories in a very public way is just something that deserves a huge round of applause from all of us. All right, first we're going to hear from Kevin. Go ahead, Kevin. Yeah.
Tell me that. So it's been a while since I've been in a forum like this, but thank you for having me here. I want to talk mostly about the business side of storytelling and how people can make a profit off of your story and how we can use it to advance our own political or religious causes. Throughout my career in storytelling, there has always been a selection process that happens, whether it's in the newsroom, figuring out what stories to tell in the evening broadcasts or in the church office building for public affairs. It's usually a small group of people who get to decide which stories are valid and important and which ones can be tossed aside. But this selection process happens in all of us, not just in the business world. It happens in our everyday life. We choose who to follow on social media, choose what stories to read, which ones to ignore, which ones to share. All of us take part in this world of information, and people of influence are paying really close attention. In the newsroom, for example, we are paying attention to what you're watching. We're paying attention to what you're clicking on, how long you're watching it, or how long you're on a story. It's all calculated. And this same thing goes for politicians, marketing professionals, religious leaders. It's a business, storytelling. And I remember when I was a TV journalist, one of my favorite stories I ever told was I followed some FBI agents into a tree farm in Oregon. And if you've ever seen one of these tree farms, they're enormous. There were some marijuana plants planted by the Mexican drug cartel. So on ATVs and machine guns at the ready, we went into the tree farm, and they had already been discovered at that point. They were letting the journalists in at this moment. But there were helicopters, and they arrested a number of members of the drug cartel. Anyway, this story had everything I ever wanted in a story. It had the video possibilities, it had relevance to the area. I mean, it kept people interested. It made national news, and it was a great news day. But I think, as many of you know, a variety of news agencies can often tell the same story, but they tell it in different ways to advance their bias. And we are definitely seeing that today as we approach a presidential election. We went through a similar process. Well, okay, first let me just say, around that same time, I decided to leave the news business because I wasn't making any money, and decided to go work for the church. I'm not sure you make much more money there, but I became a media producer, and around that same time, I came to the realization that I was gay. Although at the time I didn't say gay, I said same-sex attracted. Wanting to stay faithful in the church, I just turned to North Star and started producing the Voices of Hope videos. Maybe some of you have heard of them. And these are stories that are told of faithful Latter-day Saints who are touched by same-sex attraction in one way or another. It's actually kind of weird for me to use that term now, but I joined the project primarily to figure out how people made this work because I was struggling at the time with my faith and feelings and trying to figure that out. We went through a similar selection process of trying to figure out whose stories to tell, and we got a lot of stories coming at us, but we solely wanted to focus on people who were faithful in the church. That was our goal, and it was, I think, it certainly provided me with hope as I was struggling, and I think it provided hope for a lot of other people too. The goal was to tell 1,000 stories, which, looking back, that was kind of, unrealistic. I believe there's around 70 videos on the website today. At the time I left, I think there were 80 videos. So it's gone down a little bit, and usually they're taken down either because someone wants it to be taken down or they leave the church or start to enter into a same-sex relationship. It just doesn't fit the brand. My story included was taken down. And I can't speak for the other co-creator of the project, but I went through my own selection process. I only wanted to hear the stories of, this is where I have to get deep, okay? Looking back, I really only wanted to hear the stories of faithful Latter-day Saints, and that's because I wanted to maintain that, and any story that was told of someone who had left the church or entered a same-sex relationship, it was kind of viewed by me as a threat to my family. And I kind of just wanted to ignore that and stay on the path, as you can say. But it came to a point where, so the church decided to bring me on to the public affairs team that would create Mormon and Gay 2.0. And they recruited me to join because I had so many contacts in the LGBT Mormon community. And my assignment was to be the story curator and the content expert on the project. There were a number of content experts, not just me. I was to use my contacts to find stories, but this time I felt it was necessary to find stories from one end of the spectrum to the other. And I think I collected over 140 stories. And these ranged from people who were in same-sex relationships who had left the church to people who were temple-worthy in mixed orientation marriage